and welcome back to this week's episode of the CeMAP
Study
podcast. The CeMAP Study podcast, where every single week we get together and we do this, which is we jump on here and we help you guys figure out mainly the stuff that's in the textbook, as well as probably a lot of other life things.
Ridiculous anecdotes.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Maria.
And this is literally what we do. I'm going to skip through the introduction because I always make a hash of it.
That's
but
okay.
this week's, I never say this week's episode's going to be well good. Because this is the life insurance introduction.
Ooh.
And we're going to talk about endowments, which is like the
Kinky.
one thing that... It's early. It's not even a minute into the podcast, Maria.
I thought you were talking about the actual time. I was going to be like, it's like 12:30. Get a grip.
I can't drop that into the podcast before the introduction music.
Sorry.
We need to give people an opportunity to be like, okay,
Warm up.
pass. This is not for me. So life insurance, endowments, not kinky, and other stuff related to your CeMAP exam. That's what we're going to be doing
That's what
this
we
week. Maria, if you wouldn't mind.
Cue intro music.
And we're back. Life insurance, fun fact, it's not that fun, but you actually can't get through your CeMAP 1, 2 or 3 exam without being well good on life insurance.
Ooh.
And what most people tend to do is they go, I'll wing it in CeMAP 1, and you can wing it with life insurance in CeMAP 1, but then you get to CeMAP 2 and it's in a whole entire unit, which means you have to be able to pass one of the sections of CeMAP 2 just to get through the exam.
Ooh,
So you've got to
you have to know it.
Yeah, you're going to get 20 questions specifically on life insurance stuff.
Yeah.
You have to get 70% in those questions to pass. And then on CeMAP 3, it's even worse, I guess, if you don't like life insurance, because for every case study that you get 10 questions per case study.
Yeah.
And it's usually like at least 2 are going to be life insurance or financial protection
Okay,
related.
so you really got to know your shit.
There's a really big drive to be life insurance and financial protection savvy, even though CeMAP doesn't really get you qualified to advise in it. You actually can advise with just on life insurance with just CeMAP, but most people go on and get an extra qualification.
Yeah.
But that's a complete segue, and I've got loads to fit into this episode, so I'm going to reel it back.
Go.
Before actually that though, this episode will be dropping, I think, the week before Black Friday week. So this is the first time we're going to talk about Black Friday week, and basically, if you've been eyeing up any of the stuff on my website for ages and added it into your basket and just not gone through the checkout stage, this week is for you, because everything is going to be on sale. And the camera's followed me. Ooh. And the way that follow Maria over here. There we go. Okay, wait, let me pause it. The way that it's going to work over those 5 days is. There we go, fixed it. The way that it's going to work over those 5 days is every day over Black Friday week, one product is going to go on sale for 24 hours.
Ooh, I like it.
So Monday, it's the e-learning package where you can get all the e-learning package stuff, which is usually like 700 quid for like 500 quid. Tuesday, what is it on Tuesday? You can book on a masterclass, either a CeMAP 1 masterclass or a 2 and 3 masterclass, 20% off.
Amazing.
Wednesday, brand new product alert.
We should have a klaxon thing.
Yeah, we should have like a bell.
Yeah.
It's an exam anxiety guide. So it's a whole new course for you guys that haven't heard about this before. I have got a anxiety coach, life coach in to teach you how to manage your anxiety for sitting your CeMAP exams. And it's like a full comprehensive guide. So there's video files explaining everything that happens with all of your CeMAP exams, including everything that can go wrong, and more on that in a different podcast episode. There's going to be worksheets that you can work through to try and manage your anxiety. There's going to be audio files for like positive affirmations. There's going to be a checklist. There's going to be a diet plan for brain food for the week before your exam if you're stressed about that.
Yes. Everything
is going to be included in there. That's brand new. That launches on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
You can get all of it, and it's a good few hours worth of material for about 67 quid, whereas it's usually going to be 99 quid. Again, one day only. Thursday is new product as well. So on the Thursday, you can buy 999 CeMAP exam questions for £99.
What?
I know. Considering when you look at the LIBF questions, you can buy one paper for £33. So it's
100 questions
for 33 quid. These are not the same questions than what is in those LIBF papers, but I think there's 400 CeMAP 1 questions, 400 CeMAP 2 questions, and then what makes up the 999,
the rest are
199 CeMAP 3 questions with case studies and answer sheets with explanations and everything. That's not actually available on the website. You can't buy it. You can just buy it on that day. It'll be available for one day only.
One day only special.
And then on the Friday, the discounted deal is the masterclass package. So it's the bundle where you can book on any CeMAP 1 masterclass and any CeMAP 2 and 3 masterclass for any time in the next 12 months. You can basically just cash in your voucher. It's usually about £1,200. And I think I've put it on sale for £899.
Jesus.
I've limited how many people can buy that.
So it is going to be a first come, first serve.
Yeah. And the way that it'll work is every day is a different discount. You can go on, you get 24 hours to buy it. Once that 24 hours has passed, that's it. It's in the bin. There's nothing you can do. Unless I decide to bring it back for Cyber Monday, which there's a good chance I'll do that.
Ooh.
But we'll see what happens.
It'll be potluck what it is for Cyber Monday.
It will. Anyway, if you're listening to this and it's after Black Friday week, you're going to be kicking yourself because I only do that once a year and it's November. So hopefully you'll listen to this before then. But that's enough of that. We should dig into life insurance. And Maria, the camera's followed me again. I don't know.
I think it's
I do know why it likes me because I'm fabulous, but let's see if we can fix this. It's some sort of hand gesture that makes it move.
Because you talk with your hands.
I can't help but talk with my hands.
No, it's not criticism.
Right. Stay where you are. There we go. Okay.
Sit in your hands.
For you guys that are not watching this on YouTube, you've got no idea what
we're so sorry.
So, life insurance and financial protection. I think the first thing to talk about with that is you need to put them into two different categories.
Yeah.
So, life insurance is one.
Yeah.
Financial protection is another. What do you reckon the difference is? If you don't know, you're allowed to say you don't.
So, working it through logically, and my logic has never been my strong suit, life insurance is something that, from my experience, you take out in case you die and you have debts like a mortgage that you need to make sure are repaid. Financial protection would be for when you're still alive and kicking and need support, or, so you get injured, you need payment, you can't work, so you need your salary so that you can pay your mortgage and meet your bills.
That's exactly it. So life insurance is if you die.
Yeah.
Financial protection is if you don't die.
That is that simple.
And
I made that very meaty.
Everybody gets lost with those two. So if you can, first of all, separate them into those two categories and go, okay, one's for if you die, one's for if you don't.
Yeah.
You're halfway there. We're not going to talk about financial protection today. So we're not going to talk about the stuff that you can put in place if you don't die.
Okay.
Forget that.
We're just talking about, in the worst case, kicking the bucket, falling off the perch, shuffling off this mortal coil.
Yeah, all those things.
Okay.
You can get financial protection for if you die. And that's what life insurance is.
Okay.
Most people take out life insurance for one or two reasons. One, to cover their mortgage debt if they die, because if you die, your mortgage debt doesn't die with you. If you want to leave your house to your loved ones, you have to pay off the house.
Yeah.
And either they sell the house, which means they have to sell the family home, which can be very traumatic, or you have some sort of life insurance product in place, which would go, oh, she's dead, let's pay off the mortgage.
Isn't it a standard requirement?
Yeah. So, from a CeMAP perspective, it's a really good question.
Can of worms.
From the CeMAP textbook perspective, and for people sitting their CeMAP exam, it is not a requirement to absolutely have to have life insurance in place if you take out a mortgage. That being said, if you were to work in mortgage advice, every single lender will say, we expect you to have life insurance in place before your mortgage completes.
Fair.
But I've never had a lender come back and go, prove it. So as a mortgage advisor, you will say to your client, you need to make sure you've got life insurance. Do you want to have a chat about it? If you're going to advise on life insurance, great, you have that conversation. If not, hook them up with somebody who advises on life insurance that will give you a kickback. That's what you want to be doing. And the lender will expect them to have something in place, the same as home insurance. But I've never known a lender to ask for evidence of that insurance to be in place. Some mortgage advisors will ask for the evidence just to cover it. Yeah, exactly. And I kind of feel like that's right, because a lot of people don't get life insurance, and it is such a massive risk.
It is a huge risk, especially considering, if you're the primary breadwinner but you co-own the house with your partner, which is typical in family situations.
That's it. And that's the important thing, is if you died tomorrow, could your partner afford the mortgage on their own? And for most people, The answer's no.
Yeah.
Or they could afford their mortgage, but they couldn't afford to feed the kids or the dog. Or
unfortunately, dual income is the way that most people can actually afford to fucking survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's prudent. So whilst it's not a requirement or legally bound, no, that's not the right word. While you're not legally obliged to do it, as a mortgage advisor, kind of ethically and morally it would be the thing to do.
And that's the thing, people don't like having the conversation because nobody wants to be the Debbie Downer that goes, okay, but what if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, Greg? What then?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Nobody wants to be that person. And if the idea of that conversation makes you feel uncomfortable, you probably don't want to advise on life insurance. I love it. I love talking about life insurance and financial protection.
I do, but I don't know if that's my family being like, stiff upper lip.
Yeah.
We will talk about every eventuality.
And I think that's the difference. Like, I've gone through that, you've gone through that. Most people are like, no, I don't want to talk about if I die.
Yeah, actually, do you know what? That's true. My ex-stepmother literally would not.
Yeah.
I remember vaguely us having a conversation about funerals once, and I jokingly was like, Highway to Hell will be played at my funeral. I expect you to scatter my remains and I do not want to be cremated. Shit like that. And she literally just climbed up and was like, mm-mm. Like, no, you'll bring your bad luck. And she was not religious or any, it's just that whole conversation wigs people out.
And that's where you've got to be careful as a mortgage advisor, because you want to tread it carefully, because you don't want to lose the client for the sake of having that conversation. You just want to make sure you've educated them to a point, and what they decide to do beyond that is entirely to them.
Yeah, I guess after you've had the conversation with a few people, you figure out, it's like any job, you figure out how to have the conversations within the comfort of your client. Mm-hmm. So if your client immediately clams up and is like, we're not talking about it, you will figure out a way to...
Really fun story. I had a student on my last masterclass who used to work with a life insurance advisor, and he used to insist on doing face-to-face life insurance discussions, which, okay, fair enough. We kind of passed that now with COVID. Nobody wants to see...
No one wants to see anyone.
He would insist on their kids being in the room at the time, which I was like, okay, immediate red flag for me. And apparently his play was he would sit down, parents, kids, and turn around to the kids and go, what are you, so what are your plans when mummy and daddy get cancer and die?
I should have laughed
on life insurance.
Oh, God.
Ever.
I mean, it's a bold play.
Apparently he was the highest performing advisor in the business. He would have been out of my house so fast, I honestly would not have opened the door.
I feel like child psychologists and child specialists would have a lot to say about that.
So don't do it that way, guys.
Yeah, that's not the way to do it.
But I actually think we probably need to jump into the different types of life insurance.
Yeah.
So we're not doing financial protection in this episode. We're going to talk about okay, how do I best describe this? I want you to think about life insurance in two sections.
I've just realised I've got dog hair all over me. I'm really sorry if everyone thinks I've just had some kind of nervous tick. I've just realised I've got dog hair all over me.
So life insurance comes in two options.
Yeah.
One is called term insurance. And there's a couple of different variations of term insurance that I'm going to go through. The other one is called whole of life insurance.
Okay, please tell me it's as simple as it says on the tin.
I mean, yeah, one covers you for a specific term. The other one covers you forever, life, regardless of when you die. That's it.
Sound.
So if we start with whole of life insurance,
yeah,
this is the one that you put in place as an investment, because it's definitely going to pay out at some point. Definitely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you die in week 2 or year 22,
right,
it's going to pay out.
Yeah.
You could die at 50, you could die at 107,
mm-hmm.
it would pay out. Because there's a guaranteed payout,
mm-hmm.
it is immediately more expensive, because they know they're definitely going to have to
At some point, they're going to have to pay out.
Exactly. Whereas with the other one, term insurance, it's kind of like car insurance in the sense of you pay for your car insurance for 12 months. If you don't have an accident in that 12 months, there's no payout. You don't get your premiums back. That's just how car insurance works.
Yeah.
It's the same with term life insurance. You cover yourself for a specific term. If you survive beyond that term, you don't get a refund on your premiums, you don't get a payout amount, you just have the protection of knowing if you had died within that term, which, by the way, guys, is usually the length of your mortgage.
I was about to be like, in what circumstances would you want to be insured for a term?
For the length of your mortgage is usually the best answer. So most people, if they take out a 25-year mortgage package,
they'll
take out 25-year term insurance.
Which covers them for the term of the mortgage.
Exactly. And dependent on the type of mortgage they have will depend on the type of term insurance that they have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about 3 different ones.
Mm-hmm.
One is called decreasing term.
Yeah.
One is called level term.
Yeah.
One is called increasing term.
Cool.
So down stays the same, up.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Makes sense.
Decreasing term insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Break that, like, what does that mean to you?
I would assume that as you get closer to the end date, the amount you're insured for diminishes. So if you have a repayment mortgage.
Yes, bingo, well done.
I'm going to smash my CeMAP exams.
So a decreasing term product is the most suitable type of mortgage product for somebody who has a standard capital and repayment mortgage.
Okay.
And that's when you pay your mortgage payments for 25 years, as long as you make them on time and in full. At the end of 25 years, happy days, you'll be mortgage free.
And clear.
And your debt goes down over time.
So therefore your need for insurance decreases.
Also goes down over time. Exactly that. So, for example, my mum had a decreasing term policy, which she took out when she first took out the mortgage. I think she was 40 when she took out the mortgage.
Yeah.
And she just took it out and never touched it. So we didn't even really know it existed. We found paperwork at the bottom of a drawer. I rang up and it literally said mortgage insurance across the front of it. And I was like, I wonder what that is. So I rang them up and they were like, oh, it's decreasing term insurance. So she set it up when she got the mortgage. It's been running ever since. And the amount of money that was then left in that account for the life insurance was pretty much the same as what was due on a mortgage. They inflate it a little bit just to make sure there's not a shortfall. So I think there was like £1,500 extra in there. And that was it. It came into our accounts. We paid off my mum's mortgage with it. You don't have to do that. There's no caveat that says you have to. But
no, but I mean,
it said mortgage insurance on the paperwork.
Imagine the situation had she not have had it.
Exactly. And that is why decreasing term insurance for a capital and repayment mortgage is so important. And actually, for your CeMAP 1 exam, that's the most likely thing that's going to come up, is going to be a question along the lines of which type of term insurance product is most suitable for a capital and repayment mortgage, and it would be decreasing term. That changes if you have an interest-only mortgage.
Yeah.
So with an interest-only mortgage, your debt balance isn't going down over time.
No, it remains
the same. Yeah. So if you take out a mortgage, an interest-only mortgage for £250,000, you're going to pay your interest payments for 25 years. At the end of the 25 years, you still owe
have
them
£250,000.
Yeah. So for that reason, you don't take out a decreasing term policy with that.
It would not make sense.
Instead, you take out a level term policy.
Because the capital repayment is not changing.
Exactly, because the payout amount remains the same.
So you just need that 250.
Yeah, and that 250 will stay the same throughout the length of time that you have that product for.
So therefore your insurance remains level.
Which do you think would be more expensive from like a monthly payments perspective?
What, decreasing or
level? Yeah.
Would it depend on interest rates?
No, it would always be level term because the risk is higher. So,
okay.
The longer you live, the less they have to pay out with decreasing term insurance. So it's always generally the cheapest product.
Level term, it remains the same. There is no decreasing amount. So they're not going to go, well, if you pop it in 10 years, you'll have paid 10 years of your debt. If you pop it 10 years into a level term, you've still got the full amount of debt to repay.
Exactly. So it's more expensive than decreasing term, but not quite as expensive as whole of life.
Do you know what? In doing all the work that I've done, the decreasing level term, it's always messed with my head.
Does that make more sense?
It makes so much more sense.
Good. Means we're doing something right.
Yeah.
The last one is something called increasing term. And actually, I have this product and I, 1, don't have a mortgage, 2, didn't realise that this is what I had when I took it out. But basically, I am the most overinsured motherfucker that this earth has ever seen. And I have a term life insurance policy that would just pay out like an inheritance to Hannah or whoever would have to take on Hannah, which would probably be you, if I were to pop it early.
I think according to the terms of your will, it is me.
Yeah.
It's in black and white, legally binding.
Good point. I'm glad that you've seen that. Excellent. So, if I die tomorrow, you get... This is not a reason to kill me, just FYI.
Just so that we're clear, much rather have you alive.
Okay, good. You would get the payout from a life insurance policy. I didn't get it as a whole of life policy because that was more expensive.
Yeah.
So I got a term policy that's going to run for like 21 years because by the time she's 21, in theory, she might be, able to change herself. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So the idea was, okay, let's take out a cost-effective policy that will pay out a lump sum to whoever ends up having to look after my child if I die before she's capable of looking after herself.
Uh-huh.
And my insurance advisor said, £100,000 is great now, but if you die in 15 years' time, you probably can buy bugger all with £100,000 because of inflation, because the price of stuff goes up over time.
If you think about,
So increasing term insurance, the payout amount goes up, usually in line with inflation.
So what is $100,000 now will relatively
still be
speaking,
£100,000 in.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like when our grandparents and I bought my first house for £2,000. Fuck off, Barbara.
Exactly that. Yeah. So, in theory, what should happen if we keep on with our inflation target, which is 2% every year, the payout amount would go up by 2% every year.
So that she's covered for the same amount regardless of inflation.
Exactly. And my premiums generally go up 2% every year as well.
Nice.
So out of the three, decreasing term is always the cheapest because there's the lowest risk and the highest payout, least payout?
Lowest.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like the highest chance of not paying out.
But it's the lowest chance of paying out for decreasing.
Yeah, so highest chance of not paying out, lowest chance of paying out. Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing, different way around.
So decreasing is always the cheapest, followed by level term, which is the best for interest only.
Yeah.
Then you have increasing term, which generally doesn't correlate to mortgages because there's no mortgage instance where your payout amount would go up over time. That just wouldn't happen.
What about if you get a second charge or you remortgage? Would you just
would have to reevaluate your
reinsure?
Yeah.
Okay, ignore me. I'm just making it complex.
That's a good point though, because a lot of people think that you take out insurance and you just never look at it. And if your circumstances never change, fine. But actually, a good life insurance advisor should touch base every 1 or 2 years to be like, has anything changed?
Yeah, like you have another kid. You have a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
You divorce.
Exactly. Like a lot can change in a 12-month period of time. Yeah. So a lot of people think, well, once I've paid this, am I paying it forever? And is that it? No, actually, as you get older, generally speaking, your financial commitments get less. So actually, you'll start binning off some of your products as you get older. Like once your kids are financially dependent, you can cancel that type of policy.
Yeah.
Once you hit retirement, you're not going to have income protection insurance or anything like that, which is not something we spoke about in this episode, but we will do in the next one.
Yeah.
So
add your clients to your Christmas card list, touch base once a year.
Yeah, or stick their birthdays in. Have an automatic reminder that sends them like an awful birthday emoji.
That's lovely. What were the cards? The
e-cards.
E-cards that everyone, my mum still sends.
Like elves and snow moving across the screen.
There was a name for there was a particular company, or it was a lady's name, I can't think of it now. Used to do them first. Just thinking about people just getting a hideous like elf on the shelf e-card being like, hey, Merry Christmas, are you due for an insurance review?
So I think we really, really, really quickly, because this is going to be a longer episode than usual, which isn't a bad thing, do endowments just as like an introduction. And the reason that I can't teach endowments is because every time I say it, I think about you giggling about being well endowed. And actually, I think we talk about that. So,
okay.
I'm hoping that everybody that's listening to this or watching this has heard of the phrase being well endowed, which, Maria, what does being well endowed mean?
You're packing.
You're packing. Okay, that's the perfect response because an endowment policy kind of means that you are packing.
I'm pretty sure it is. I will research this for the next podcast episode.
Isn't it like a Jane Austen reference to be like
there's it doesn't actually, we're obviously, it now references the dirtier side of things, which is why it gives me the giggles. But I actually do think it is from way back when, financial perspective.
Yeah, being well endowed is having loads of money in your pockets. Now it's having loads of
bank.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
We'll leave that one there.
Anyway, endowments. So the endowments are generally the hardest bit of Okay. People struggle the most with endowments in their CeMAP studies because it is the most difficult to wrap your head around.
Oh, I'm so glad you said head.
But the reason that people struggle so much from the textbook is because the textbook gives us no context. Obviously, it doesn't talk about this type of endowed, but I want to tell you about the history of endowments, and I need you to keep it together while I do
I'm
this.
really
I'm
trying. No one's going to forget this.
No. So, the reason that endowments are covered in CeMAP is because they used to be a thing that were offered with mortgages.
Okay.
They don't exist anymore.
Oh.
So what happened? Well, endowments do exist, but mortgages and endowments, they don't package them together anymore.
Okay.
So back in the 60s and 70s, which was like pre-regulation.
Oh, Wild West.
Yeah, anyone could do anything. What used to happen, in fact, this happened to my partner. So when he went to get his first mortgage, which
way
was
back when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Hopefully he's not going to listen to this episode. So way back when, he took out his first mortgage, and his mortgage advisor said, look, you can get a capital and repayment mortgage. Mm-hmm. That's fine if that's what you want to do. You'll have it for 25 years, you'll make your payments, and as long as you make your payments on time, your mortgage will be paid off.
Yeah.
But then he said, I know the camera's moved again, but I'll keep talking. But then the mortgage advisor said, but instead of doing that, what you could do... I need you to flash at me. Oh, you guys listening at home have got no idea what's going on. There we go. What you could do instead is take out an interest-only mortgage product, which now don't get offered to everybody. Now you have to be pretty well off to get an interest-only mortgage. But back then, anyone could have one.
Okay.
So he would say, take out an interest-only mortgage, and instead of paying your repayments every month to the lender, just pay the interest to the lender. It'll be well cheap. Pay whatever money you have left over into an endowment policy instead.
Right.
And basically what happens is the company that own the endowment will invest it. You'll get to the end of your 25 years, and what they would say is not only will you have enough money to then pay off your mortgage in full, because it's an interest-only mortgage, but because it's been invested, you'll probably have a fuck ton more in there, and you can go travelling, you can see the world, you can get remarried, you can do whatever.
Fails, then? So
this was the big thing. There are 5 different types of endowment policies. I'm going to do a whole extra episode on endowments, and there were loads of different types of endowment policies. Some of them did guarantee to pay off your mortgage, but they were expensive.
Yeah.
So what mortgage advisors used to do is say, oh yeah, it'll definitely pay off your mortgage, and then sell them the cheap one that didn't pay off their mortgage.
Oh, so people getting to the end of their mortgage term, going to their endowment policy, and there was not the money there to pay off their mortgage.
When I used to work for the mortgage brokerage, I'll never forget speaking to somebody who rang up, and he was like, basically, I'm going through a divorce. He was in his mid-50s. He was like, we need to sell the house to split our assets.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm coming to look at my endowment policy in a 20-year mortgage. And he was close to retirement age, and there was a £95,000 shortfall in the endowment policy. And he was like, the only way I can see out of this is if I top myself with life insurance will cover it.
Fuck!
And that happened to... That was not an isolated incident. It happened to so many people that were missold endowment products and told to use them as an interest-only repayment vehicle.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine being in that position. Like, who the fuck has 95 grand or even more?
That's it. And these, you would sold it in the confidence of thinking your mortgage advisor knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But just because there's different types of endowments, some of them did. So luckily for my partner, he had the type of endowment policy that did the trick. But there were loads of people that were left with an endowment shortfall.
And considering how long ago was it? Not even 2 years ago that you worked for the brokerage, so people are still suffering the consequences.
Exactly.
That's horrifying.
That's why we talk about endowments in CeMAP, but you will not come across an endowment mortgage, as they call them. They don't exist anymore because of that big scandal. Yeah, exactly. So that's our introduction to endowments. This topic usually does a little bit more, but I think we do a standalone episode on it because
it's a huge topic.
It's a big thing, and we definitely need to know about it. Mm-hmm. But I think that we've smashed it. This is nearly a half an hour long episode.
Yeah, we've hit the highlights, and as we say every week, this is
not a comprehensive study guide, so you can't get through your exams without
doing something other than listening to us faff about.
This is just going to be beneficial for you drive home or when you can't sleep or however it is that you tend to fall across this episode. Exactly. Yeah. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you do watch these and you like them, give them a little thumbs up. Subscribe to them on Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We've got Instagram. There's a website. It'll all be in the show notes. I always feel well posh when I say that.
Show notes.
But yeah, show us some love if you've listened to this and you like it because it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being here, and we will catch you for the next one.
Cue outro music.